I'm going to develop a script about 5 mistakes women make that make him lose interest and you don't even realize it. I'll follow all your instructions, working in blocks of approximately 5,000 characters each. Here's part 1. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever wondered why some relationships that seemed so promising simply fall apart without any apparent explanation? Imagine living what seems like the beginning of something wonderful, and suddenly, that man who showed so much interest starts to pull away. Messages that go unanswered, dates canceled, and that initial enthusiasm that dissipates like smoke in the wind. If you have ever been through this, know that you are not alone. Today I will reveal the 5 female mistakes that make him lose interest. Mistakes so subtle that you may not even realize you are making. And pay close attention, because the last one is the most devastating of all, and it could be sabotaging your relationships right now. Before we continue, if you are new here, welcome to the Red Pill Feminine channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video with your friends who are also looking to better understand relationships. Also, comment if you have identified any of these behaviors in yourself. This video can literally transform your love life, so stay until the end. What we're about to discuss goes against much of what traditional society has taught us about relationships. We're going to take a critical red pill perspective that helps us see the dynamics between men and women in a more realistic, less idealized way. As Robert Greene explains in his book, The Laws of Human Nature, Chapter 3, pages 78 to 82, our deepest natures influence our romantic interactions in ways we rarely consciously realize. When we talk about attractiveness in relationships, we tend to focus on the obvious: physical appearance, intelligence, sense of humor. But what if I told you that there are much more subtle behaviors that are undermining your chances of keeping a man interested? Behaviors that you've probably been taught are correct or desirable, but that are actually working against you? The first mistake many women make is being too available. Imagine this. You've just met someone interesting. There's chemistry, there's a connection, and you feel genuinely excited. What do many women do at this point? They make themselves completely available. They respond to messages instantly. They cancel plans with friends to meet him. They rearrange their entire schedule to fit in with his. Esther Perel, in her groundbreaking book Erotic Intelligence, Chapter 5, page 112, states that desire needs room to breathe. When we eliminate all the mystery and challenge from a relationship through constant availability, we also eliminate one of the main triggers of male desire: conquest. Think about it. Men are biologically programmed to value what they have to earn. This is not an opinion but a biological fact documented by David Buss in his study, Human Mate Selection Strategies, where he analyzes patterns of romantic behavior across cultures. When you demonstrate that you've already been won over, you inadvertently remove the element of challenge that keeps men interested. And no, this doesn't mean playing games or being manipulative. It simply means maintaining your own life, your own interests and commitments. It means valuing your time and showing that while you welcome him in it, your life doesn't revolve around him. The second fatal mistake is constant validation. Many women unconsciously seek male validation at all times. What did you think of my outfit? Did you like the dinner I prepared? Do you think I did well in that situation at work? Questions like these, when asked occasionally, are normal. But when they become a constant pattern, they send a clear message: insecurity. Farrell explains in his book The Myth of Male Power, Chapter 7, pages 203 to 215, that despite common stereotypes, men are extremely perceptive of female self-confidence. The constant need for approval is interpreted as a lack of self-love, which paradoxically diminishes the attraction he feels for you. Men are naturally attracted to women who have internal validation, who don't need constant external confirmation to feel good about themselves. This doesn't mean you should fake confidence, but rather genuinely work to develop it, regardless of any relationship. How can you overcome this pattern? Start noticing how many times a day you seek validation, not just from romantic partners, but from anyone. Practice making decisions based on your own values and judgment, and allow yourself to feel comfortable with them, even without external approval. True confidence is magnetic, and developing this kind of inner security will transform not only your romantic relationships, but every area of your life. The third mistake, rarely discussed, is overcommunication. Believe it or not, more communication does not always mean better communication. In fact, many women stifle male interest through an avalanche of words, texts, and phone calls. Deborah Tannen, linguist and author of You Just Don't Understand Me, Chapter 4, pages 97-110, extensively documents the fundamental differences in male and female communication. Women tend to use communication to establish connection, while men often communicate primarily to convey information. When we ignore this crucial difference, we create a dynamic where the woman is constantly seeking connection through more communication, while the man feels overwhelmed and withdraws. Have you ever noticed how some of the deepest conversations with a man happen when you're doing something side by side, rather than sitting across from each other? Or how he seems to open up more when you're walking, driving, or doing some other activity? This is no coincidence. Psychologist Helen Fisher, in her book, Why We Love, Chapter 9, pages 172 to 178, explains that men often feel more comfortable communicating emotionally when they are engaged in a side activity. This reduces pressure and allows them to process their emotions without feeling trapped. When we bombard a man with questions, especially emotionally charged ones like, "What are you feeling? What are you thinking about us?" Or, "Where is this relationship going?" we often have the opposite effect. Instead of fostering intimacy, these frequent questions can cause him to close himself off even more. Here's a truth we rarely discuss. Silence is also a form of communication. The empty spaces between words are just as important as the words themselves. Allowing these spaces to exist in a relationship is not neglect, but wisdom. As Alain de Botton notes in his book, The Course of Love, Chapter 2, pages 42-47, a mark of a healthy relationship is the ability to be comfortably silent together. Learn to value quality of communication over quantity. One deep, meaningful conversation a week has more impact than dozens of superficial messages a day. Cultivate comfort with silence and watch how it transforms the dynamics of your relationship. The fourth mistake that drives away male interest is the fusion of identities. Have you ever seen that friend who, when she starts a new relationship, seems to completely transform? Suddenly she likes the same movies as him, adopts the same hobbies, agrees with all his opinions, and seems to no longer have a personality of her own? This fusion phenomenon is extremely common, especially among women who have been socialized to be agreeable and adaptable. However, as Esther Perel points out in her book, Captive Marriage, Chapter 3, pages 58-65, there is no desire without distance. When we lose our individuality, we also lose our mystery, and consequently, much of our power to attract. Men may initially be flattered by this complete adaptation, but they quickly feel bored and stifled. Paradoxically, by trying to become exactly what you believe he wants, you eliminate the elements of challenge and individuality that attracted him in the first place. How can you avoid this common mistake? First, recognize that a healthy relationship consists of two whole people, not two halves seeking completeness. Continue to invest in your own passions, friendships, and interests, even when you're in love. Allow yourself to respectfully disagree, hold your own opinions, and preserve the elements of your individuality that attracted you to each other in the first place. Now, before we reveal the fifth and most devastating mistake, let's take a moment to reflect. If you've watched this far and have identified any of these behaviors in yourself, share them in the comments. Remember, recognizing these patterns is the first step to changing them. Your honesty will not only help yourself, but also other women who are facing similar challenges. Let's now delve into territory that is rarely explored, but crucial to understanding the dynamics of long-term male attraction. Territory that is often misunderstood or completely ignored in mainstream relationship discourse. The fifth mistake, and possibly the most destructive of all, is the failure to understand and respect the male need for continual conquest. Contrary to what many of us have been taught, conquest for a man does not end when he gets the woman. In fact, that is where it truly begins. Roy Baumeister, in his study, Male and Female Sexuality, pages 347-350, presents compelling evidence that male desire is significantly fueled by the sense of achievement and overcoming obstacles. When we completely remove these elements from the relationship, we inadvertently eliminate one of the main fuels of male interest. The problem is that many women, once in an established relationship, stop seeing themselves as a prize to be conquered daily, and start assuming that male interest must remain constant simply because there is already a commitment. This is one of the most dangerous traps in modern relationships. As Rollo Tomassi explains in Masculine Rationality, Chapter 6, pages 123 to 130. Men value what they need to achieve, and they continue to value what they can lose. This is not manipulation, but a deep understanding of male psychology. This means that in order to keep a man's interest alive, you need to continue to be a woman worth fighting for, not through emotional games or manipulative techniques, but by genuinely being a person who continues to evolve, who holds high standards for herself and the relationship, and who doesn't give up on her own journey of growth. In practice, this could mean continuing to invest in your appearance not just to please him, but because you value yourself, developing new interests and skills that keep you intellectually stimulated, maintaining a healthy social life outside of the relationship, and maintaining clear standards for how you expect to be treated. It's important to note that this doesn't mean creating artificial drama or becoming emotionally unavailable. Rather, it's about maintaining your integrity and remaining a complete person, even within a relationship. Now, how can we integrate these insights from male psychology without compromising our authenticity as women? The answer lies in a balanced approach that I call authentic presence. It's about being fully present in the relationship while firmly maintaining your individuality. In practical terms, authentic presence means that you are emotionally available, but not completely predictable. It means that you are loving and attentive, but also have a rich and fulfilling life independent of your partner. It means that you are committed to the relationship, but do not place it at the center of your universe. Nancy Friday, in her extensive study of male sexual psychology, Men in Love, Chapter 8, pages 215 to 224, found that one of the most recurrent fantasies among men was not about extreme sexual situations, as many might assume, but about partners who maintained an element of mystery and autonomy, partners they could not fully possess or decipher. Think about it for a moment. What keeps you interested in a book, a movie, or even a game? Uncertainty, curiosity about what's next, the challenge of finding out. Similarly, relationships that maintain elements of ongoing discovery are those that continue to flourish over time. Many women make the mistake of believing that once they are in a relationship, they must become completely transparent and predictable. They reveal all their thoughts, share every detail of their day, eliminate any trace of mystery, and then they are surprised when the flame of interest begins to fade. As Sherry Argov explains in her controversial but revealing book, Why Men Love Powerful Women, Chapter 4, pages 87 to 93, maintaining your own personal mythology is essential. This doesn't mean being dishonest or creating a false persona. It means preserving aspects of your individuality that are uniquely yours, continuing to grow and evolve as a person, and not turning your partner into the sole vessel for all your emotions, thoughts, and experiences. Now let's address a mistake that often accompanies the top 5, trying to change a man. This behavior is so common that almost all of us have experienced it at some level. We meet a man who has potential, but also has some little flaws that we believe we can fix with time. And so begins an unsolicited makeover project. What they fail to understand is that, as David Dita explains in The Way of the Superior Man, Chapter 2, pages 31-37, men generally do not respond well to direct attempts at change. In fact, the more obviously we try to change them, the more resistance we encounter. This doesn't mean that men can't or won't evolve. It does mean that your approach needs to honor male dignity and autonomy. Men tend to be inspired to change through example, not constant criticism or attempts to fix them. When we focus on what they're doing wrong, we reinforce negative behaviors. When we recognize and appreciate what they're doing right, even if it's just small things, we create an environment where positive change is possible. Let's now explore the dynamics of vulnerability in relationships. There is a delicate balance between being emotionally open and becoming completely vulnerable too early in a relationship. Many women, in their eagerness to create intimacy, reveal their deepest wounds, insecurities, and traumas during the first few weeks of a relationship. Brené Brown, in her book The Courage to Be Imperfect, Chapter 5, pages 102-110, distinguishes between healthy vulnerability and premature self-disclosure. Healthy vulnerability is built gradually, as trust develops. Premature self-disclosure can, paradoxically, prevent the formation of real intimacy, because it places an emotional burden on the relationship that it is not yet built to support. This doesn't mean hiding who you really are. but rather understanding that genuine intimacy is built over time. It's a gradual process of mutual revelation, not a one-sided emotional dump in the early stages of a relationship. Another aspect that is rarely discussed is the role of respect in maintaining male interest. Respect for a man is not just a matter of social courtesy, but a deep emotional need. As Warren Farrell points out in The Myth of Male Power, Chapter 9, pages 251 to 262, respect for a man is as fundamental as the feeling of love is for many women. When we inadvertently disrespect our partners, whether by publicly criticizing them, disregarding their opinions, or micromanaging their actions, we undermine something fundamental to their emotional well-being. And a man who doesn't feel respected will inevitably start to pull away. How do we show genuine respect? Through the language we use, the decisions we make together, the way we talk about him to others, and most importantly, through the trust we show in his abilities. This doesn't mean never disagreeing or sharing his concerns, but doing so in a way that doesn't diminish his value as a man. Let's now connect these insights to a broader aspect of relationship dynamics: the male-female polarity. Regardless of our beliefs about gender roles, there is a natural dynamic of attraction between complementary opposing energies. David Data, in Dear Intimate Woman, Chapter 3, pages 64-72, explores how long-term sexual tension depends on maintaining a certain energetic polarity. Relationships where both partners operate predominantly on the same energy, either both very masculine or both very feminine in their approach to life, often experience a decrease in sexual desire, even when love and friendship remain strong. This doesn't mean adopting artificial behaviors or repressing authentic aspects of yourself. It means recognizing and honoring the naturally feminine aspects of your energy, the ones you express authentically, that create a complementary counterpoint to the masculine energy. In practice, this might mean allowing yourself to receive rather than always giving, cultivating and expressing your natural sensuality, embracing your ability to feel and flow emotionally, and allowing your partner to occupy spaces where his masculine energy can naturally shine. If you've watched this far, tell us in the comments which of these mistakes you've identified in your past relationships. This open conversation helps us all grow and create more satisfying relationships. Now let's look at an often misunderstood concept: female independence in the context of relationships. The prevailing cultural message suggests that independence means not needing anyone, especially a man. But this interpretation creates a false dilemma between being independent and being in a relationship. Alison Armstrong, a relationship researcher for over 30 years, and author of The Queen's Code, Chapter 12, pages 267-273, offers a more nuanced and powerful definition of female independence. For her, true independence is not about not needing anyone, but about consciously choosing interdependence from a position of strength. A truly independent woman is one who knows she can survive on her own, but chooses to thrive in partnership. She understands that selective vulnerability and receiving support are not signs of weakness, but skills that require strength and discernment. Many women, in an attempt to prove their independence, refuse to accept help, show vulnerability, or admit need. Ironically, this often discourages male interest, not because men want dependent women, but because they seek relationships where they can contribute meaningfully. James Hollis, Jungian psychoanalyst and author of Under the Shadow of Saturn, Chapter 7, pages 158-164, explains that part of the male psychological journey is about making a positive impact, especially on the lives of those they value. When a woman is so determined to do it all herself that she doesn't allow any male input, she inadvertently thwarts this fundamental need. Healthy independence in a relationship means maintaining your individual integrity while remaining open to receiving. It means setting clear boundaries when necessary, but also allowing yourself to be nurtured. It's about understanding that conscious interdependence is the goal, not self-sufficient isolation or childish dependence. If this aspect resonates with you, consider how you may be inadvertently blocking your partner's satisfaction by withholding help or support. Ask yourself, are you able to receive gracefully, or do you always feel like you need to reciprocate immediately or prove that you could have done it yourself? Now let's turn to a topic that is rarely discussed openly: the importance of sexual mystery in maintaining male interest. Traditional societies often reduce this topic to rules about not giving in too easily, while modern discourses sometimes go to the other extreme, suggesting that any sexual withholding is old-fashioned or manipulative. The truth, as always, is in the balance. Experts on human sexuality such as Meredith Chivers, whose research is detailed in the book The Enigma of Desire, pages 178 to 186, have scientifically demonstrated that male and female desires often operate through different psychological mechanisms. Neuroscientist Ogi Ogus, in his extensive research documented in the book A Billion Wicked Desires, Chapter 5, pages 112 to 120, demonstrates how the male brain is typically more visually stimulated and stimulated by novelty, while the female brain often responds more to context and emotional narrative. Understanding these differences does not mean reinforcing limiting stereotypes, but recognizing natural complementarities that can be honored consciously. When we ignore these differences in the name of a misunderstood equality, we often create relationships where sexual desire diminishes much more quickly than necessary. In practice, this might mean consciously cultivating your femininity in ways that are authentic to you, maintaining an element of surprise in your intimate life, understanding that for many men, continual conquest is an integral part of desire, and recognizing that excessive accessibility can, paradoxically, diminish sexual interest over time. This doesn't mean manipulating or withholding affection, but understanding the natural dynamics of sexual tension and working with it, not against it. Now let's bring all of these insights together into a practical framework. The 5 mistakes we've discussed: over-availability, constant validation, over-communication, identity fusion, and failure to understand men's need for continual conquest, share a common root: the erasure of healthy boundaries that create space for desire to flourish. Esther Perel, in her 2 decades of research on long-term desire, documented in the book Erotic Intelligence, Chapter 8, pages 183 to 190, has come to the revolutionary conclusion that fire needs air. Desire does not thrive in complete fusion, but in the space between 2 distinct individuals who continue to discover themselves. How can you apply this knowledge to your current or future relationships? Here's a practical framework I call the 3 pillars of lasting attractiveness. Pillar 1, authentic presence. Being fully present when you are with him, offering your full attention and authentic self. At the same time, maintaining a rich and fulfilling life when you are apart. This balance creates the space needed for desire to breathe and grow. Pillar 2, receiving mindfully. Allowing yourself to receive attention, gifts, support, pleasure, without feeling like you need to constantly reciprocate or prove your independence. Receiving gracefully is an art that many modern women have lost, but one that is deeply satisfying for both partners when practiced mindfully. Pillar 3, continuous evolution. Continue to grow as an individual, develop new interests, learn new skills, deepen your connection with yourself. Not to impress him, but because you are committed to your own journey. Nothing keeps the interest alive like a partner who keeps offering new facets to discover. If you implement these 3 pillars into your life, you will not only avoid the mistakes that make a man lose interest, but you will create a relationship that continues to deepen and intensify over time. For those of you in relationships where interest has waned, know that it is possible to rekindle the flame. Not through manipulation or games, but through a genuine rediscovery of yourself and a reintroduction of the space needed for desire to flourish. Start cultivating your own life again. Pick up abandoned hobbies, strengthen friendships that have been neglected, reconnect with parts of yourself that have been pushed aside. Don't do this as a strategy to win your partner back, but as a genuine commitment to your own flourishing. As you become more whole, more present with yourself, you naturally become more attractive, not just to your partner, but to everyone around you. The energy of a woman who is living authentically and continually expanding herself is magnetically attractive. Remember that we are deconstructing years, perhaps decades, of social conditioning, patterns that have been reinforced by culture and media since we were children. Be patient with yourself in this recalibration process. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for your dedication to your own growth and to creating more authentic and satisfying relationships. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the Red Pill Feminine channel, like it, and share it with other women who might benefit from these insights. To delve deeper into these concepts, I recommend 2 other videos from our channel. How to develop magnetic presence, the secret no one tells women, and the vulnerability paradox, how to open up without losing your power. Both expand on the themes we covered today and offer practical strategies for immediate implementation. Always remember, deep, fulfilling relationships don't just happen. They are created consciously, through understanding deep psychological dynamics and having the courage to challenge harmful patterns. You deserve a love that continues to grow and deepen over time, and with this knowledge, you are better equipped than ever to create it. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.